Exactly. Time for our next conversation of the day this early Tuesday morning. Our focus being on inclusivity in higher education, just trying to see how best we can accommodate and include persons with disability when it comes to institutions of higher learning. Joining me live this morning is a set of panelists who will be helping us understand more about this specific conversation. I'll be joined live by Sylvia Mochabo, who is a parent and founder inABLE Speaks organization. I will also be joined by Brenda Kiema, who is a disability inclusion officer and lecturer at Tangaza University College. Brenda, good morning. Brenda? Well, just as we try to get Brenda's voice, I'll also be joined by two other sets of panelists. That is John Brown, who is a special needs education student at KU and an alumnus of Thika School for the Blind. John, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you too. And finally, I'll be joined by Peter Okeyo, who is a program manager at inABLE organization. Peter, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for making time this morning. And I'll just start with you, Sylvia. You are a parent and the founder of inABLE Speaks organization. Sylvia, just tell us very briefly, what is inABLE Speaks organization and what exactly does it do? Sylvia.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for your question. So, inABLE Speaks for Special Needs Persons is a rights-based organization that champions for inclusion of persons with neurodevelopmental disabilities. That is autism spectrum disorder, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and ADHD and other learning disabilities.
Okay, and why specifically just choosing to champion for inclusion of persons with neurodevelopmental disabilities, Sylvia?
As a caregiver of two children on the autism spectrum, and my journey raising the children, I realized there are gaps even in terms of inclusivity for policy, education system, health system, and even the society at large. When you look at the integration and on top of that, just the stigma that surrounds the neurodiverse community. And it's one of the disabilities that is not rarely known in terms of not many people understand that they actually exist because of our African culture. You'll find that most children with neurodevelopmental disabilities will be termed more or less as mentally unstable, while quite if they're just embraced and accepted into the community, given the right equipment and support, they will actually thrive. So that is what we are trying to do, to bridge that gap so people understand and bring forth their children out in the community and place them in areas where they will be able to thrive, find themselves, and actually be able to live a fulfilling life.
All right, Sylvia, you've just said that neurodevelopmental disability is not quite known, especially given our African context and our African setup. Probably from where you sit, how much sensitization have you done in terms of giving proper information about this kind of disability?
You will see that we have different platforms on all social media. We've done a lot of media coverage also.
Okay.
We run programs, we call it Neuro Digest. We have a TV show also that I host and educate the general public, even the caregivers. And even during this time for Corona, you find that we're trying to empower the parents to come out and understand how to take care of their children, because it's one of the things that even when you get the diagnosis from the doctors, you're not given any guidance. So it's like you're just told, okay, your child has this issue, all the best, we hope you will be able. There are those who actually tell you they won't be able to amount to anything. So you can imagine that kind of level of discouragement that a parent goes through.
Yeah.
And putting out my own children to show them as an example that a child can actually achieve speech, take care of themselves, be self-reliant, and that gives hope to another parent. We also run programs in the community also, just doing data and statistics, because that was one of the things that we have realized there is no data that can actually pinpoint how many neurodiverse persons are there. Even with the latest census, that was not able to be achieved because of how vast it was. And apart from that, we engage with also the government and other key stakeholders to try and ensure that they are able to identify and be more inclusive and equitable in terms of considering persons with neurodevelopmental disabilities.
Okay, well, that's quite a mouthful there you've been doing, at least in terms of proper sensitization of this kind of disability. Now, coming to you, Brenda Kiema, you are someone who deals a lot with learners, seeing that you are, a lecturer at Tangaza University College. From your perspective, Brenda, have universities done enough to improve the learning environment of PWDs? All right, we'll be coming to Brenda in a bit, so I just want to engage my other sets of panelists. I also had mentioned that I'm having Peter Okeyo, who is a program manager at inABLE organization. Peter, just tell us very quickly, what is inABLE all about and what does it do?
Thank you so much.
Yes, Peter? Tell us about inABLE organization and what it does.
inABLE organization is basically is an NGO that operates in Kenya and both in the US. And our mandate is to empower the blind and visually impaired through assistive technology. So this is done by ensuring that we provide accessible platforms to individuals with visual impairment just to be able to interact with technology, just like any other sighted individual would do. So the fact that someone is visually impaired doesn't mean that they can't interact with technology. So that is the perception that has been there, that we actually came in to fill that gap.
All right, and how has it been for you, Peter, being someone in the IT world? How has it been working with persons with disability in the field of IT?
It's actually been very interesting because it's a field that is very unique to almost everyone, and especially in Africa, because we have perceived initially that for you to interact with technology, basically you require sight, and anybody without sight or who is deemed to be visually impaired are not interacting with technology. So this has actually opened space in terms of more research, including accessibility, because most technology that we interact with, including our smartphones, initially never used to be accessible. So our colleagues who are visually impaired used to rely mostly on sight assistance, even in matters of privacy. But with this technology that is now in place, they are able to gain that independence and doing things on their own through interacting with technology. And this, as inABLE, has actually opened more opportunities to individuals with visual impairment, right from learners, those in working, those in employment. So basically, technology has actually also provided a well-level playing field for everyone. And as inABLE, we've been actually successful in doing this because first, we only focus on special needs schools with visual impairment. That is through the Ministry of Education. And we also partner with different sponsors for this particular school so that we make sure that everybody is in sync. After that, we move now into infrastructure, whereby we set labs, accessible labs in schools for the blind. And we also provide hardware, software, and most importantly, we provide trainers, because you find that in most cases, we have people set up computer labs in special schools for the blind, but they forget the very important bit, which is training. So when you provide a beautiful lab, everything in good infrastructure, but you leave out training, that means basically you're like providing very good high-end vehicles without roads. So for us, as inABLE, we've been able to bridge that gap by making sure that our program is full circle. You start from infrastructure, you start from devices, software, and then you finish with the training bit. That has helped us now to be in this field for over 10 years with a success rate of almost 90%, because the school that we've covered, every individual, every learner from grade 1 all the way to teachers have received ICT skills.
Now, Peter, you've mentioned something very important, that it's also very necessary to train people, which just brings me to my next question, because you've been able to train at least 15 instructors, and this is on computer assistive technology. Maybe you can just tell us a bit about that. What does that entail, and what kind of work do these instructors do to assist these PWDs?
Good question. Actually, usually our understanding of IT or computer science goes when you do it at the university level or middle-level college. It's basically the usual IT that we are used to. But when it comes to assistive technology, we've not been having that program in Kenya. So when we came in, you set up computer labs, and then you find that even during hiring, you can't get an individual who is trained on assistive technology, but they have IT skills and also computer science skills. So what we do, we hire such individuals, and then we conduct training based on assistive technology that they require for them to be able now to train learners with special needs in terms of ICT. So what does this entail? We have specialized software for screen readers. We also have some devices that have got software installed. So we take them through training on how to use these software screen readers to ensure that they are also able to deliver the same content to the learners, and also to make sure that they understand the hardware bit, that is starting from keyboard, because the keyboard that we use are not specialized in any way. We use standard keyboard that you use in your office. So the purpose of this is to make sure that when they leave the specific schools or the programs where they are in, they go out to the market while they are still able to use the same devices that are available in the job market. So that's the nature of training that we give to our instructors. And apart from just giving them the technology skills or technology skills, we also provide them with some skills in terms of handling learners with special needs.
Okay, and so with all these trainings that you're offering, can you be able to confirm that persons with disability can also be able to operate such gadgets by on their own?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And not just on their own, they also use smartphones,
okay,
which are deemed to be mostly site-based. So the issue of come and read for me this newspaper, come and read for me this, is no longer there, because now they're able to access all the contents right from their thumb. But that requires you to have a smartphone. The feature phones don't have that feature. So we basically, when you buy a smartphone, it comes with inbuilt screen readers, but most people don't know that. So most people think that you buy a smartphone and then you purchase software the way it used to be before. So nowadays, most developers develop these products with accessibility in mind. And then now whatever that, although not 100%, but there's some testing, usability testing that needs to be done to ensure that the device or software is fully accessible.
All right, that's really nice. And now coming to you, Brenda, being a lecturer at Tangaza University College, from your perspective as a lecturer, have universities improved the learning environment of persons with disability? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a lecturer and also a disability inclusion officer
okay,
at Tangaza University College. And Tangaza University College is it's well prepared for any person with disability to study there. We have improved both the social and physical environment. When I talk about the social environment, it means we have addressed issues of attitudes, issues of discriminations, things that make people with disability not to feel like they belong. So the whole of last year, 2019, we were having different sets of training for both our faculty members and also for the students and for the general staff at Tangaza University College.
all right. And also just from where you sit, seeing that that is what you're doing there in your college, but when you look at other universities, probably from your perspective, what are the loopholes that maybe you have spotted that you think that when worked on, at least we can have that nice and safe environment for PWDs to still feel that they are okay being in these institutions of higher learning?
Well, last year around July 19th, we launched a network, which we call it the University Disability Inclusion Network. I co-founded it with some friends, and we invited many universities to come so that we can discuss the best way we can accommodate learners with disabilities. Basically in Kenya, I can say that up to maybe 70% learners with disability have been excluded in the higher learning settings. And this is because some of them will qualify to join, but the environment does not accommodate them. The environment is not user-friendly. When I talk of the environment, I mean like the information system. When you go to our library at Tangaza University College, any person with visual impairment, they are able to access books because we have installed JAWS themselves in their own laptops. They're using the NVDA programs, and that makes it much easier for them to stop being dependent on others. So universities need to make sure that when they are designing any website that they are using, they have to they need to have disabilities in mind. And that is the only way we will be able to accommodate them in the university and get them in the education so that they can be able to acquire skills like any other person in this country and be able to get employment and also create employment.
All right. Now coming to you, John Brown, you are a student at KU, a special needs student there, and also a former student of Thika School for the Blind. How has your experience been like being a special needs student in an institution of higher learning? John?
Thank you so much. Being a student at the Kenyatta University has been a great opportunity for me to pursue different kinds of interests. I can say I was very much lucky to have acquired computer skills and knowledge from Thika School.
Okay.
Through the inABLE program, and this really enabled me to do different subjects and different faculties because I'm an educational student. So you find that I interact with various departments in the university, and my experience has been great. But when I look back at the opportunity I had at the university, I see that there was still some limitations. For example, just as early as when I was joining the university, I discovered that the university was really not as inclusive as I perceived it to be. And this really shaped the choices that we had, and it really shaped our careers. But having computer skills and having an opportunity to interact with inABLE at a very young age also assisted me, because right now I can learn online just as we are at home, and it has been quite easier for me. When I look at my fellow students, it was quite difficult. It was quite difficult for them, and we had actually to come back and call inABLE and talk to them. Can we have a program at the university?
All right.
So it has really been a very vast experience, and I think you can get it now.
Okay, John, you just said that from your perspective, and even how it was for you when you're joining KU, is that you noted some limitations, which just ultimately means you didn't feel that inclusivity the way you would have hoped to. But from where you sit, what do you think can be done, at least to ensure these institutions of higher learning can be more accommodative and at least ensure that persons with disability can feel more included in these institutions?
Okay, in institutions of higher learning, I think the first thing that needs to be done is a disability mainstreaming idea, where staff and students from every faculty should be made aware that persons with disability are nowadays pursuing every career, and they have aspiring dreams and they have the potential. But if they create a limiting environment in the specific department that the person with disability would like to join, it causes a hindrance. And this might even, it's either going to cause conflict if the person sticks to that career or that faculty, or it's going to cause, it's going to shape how person with disability chooses. This is the career that I can choose. This is the career that I can do, but due to these limitations, I can only consider this and this and this career. And apart from the let me say something like creation of awareness, I think also the faculties in universities needs to be equipped with equipment and services that can enable persons with disabilities to consider them. Let's say, for example, physical modification to the offices and the classrooms and that stuff. Also, let's say, for example, in provision of material, the faculties need to understand that as long as a student can gain the material in the format or the mode in which the student can access, then that means that the faculty is friendly to any student who wants to pursue the career and has the potential and the qualification for it.
All right, John. Thank you so much for that. I mean, coming to you, Sylvia, we just heard what John has told us, his experience, and extensively just describing it for us, telling us that it was not as inclusive as how he had expected it to be. Now, coming to you, Sylvia, when we talk about inclusion, what is the importance of this, and what does it even mean in the first place?
For me, inclusion just doesn't mean that you have a class and say you have a special unit that's going to be catering for special needs children.
Okay.
But actually ensuring there is equity in that. This means that you have considered all the perspectives equally for every child and has met their unique need. You will forgive me, but I will focus on the neurodiverse community. For example, go to our public schools, where we're talking about right now CBC being inclusive and trying to shun away specialization and focus on inclusion and integration. But the fact is we have not sat down and analyzed exactly what this means when it comes to meeting a child's need. We have on the books subscribed to the SDGs, the CR, but we are not actually practically implementing the same when we look at that. If you go to the ministry, we are supposed to be having IEPs in special classes. There is actually international standards on the teacher-student ratio. But when you walk into a school or special education, you will find a child with Down syndrome, mentally challenged, autism, cerebral palsy. All of them have been put in the same classroom. And we're talking about numbers up to 40 with only 2 teachers to cater for that. When if you look at the international standards and requirements where we're talking about proper inclusion, it means that you're supposed to be having 2 teachers to a maximum of 7.
Okay.
Yes, we have the numbers, we do not have the staff, but then how else can we be able to try at least and mitigate this? If we have the support carers brought on board by courtesy of the ministry, if you look at how the UK does it, when you're looking at how the child is being wholly taken care of, you will find that the person who's handling, because of the different impairments, you will find a person with autism who could be having challenges with vision, hearing. We do not have sign language as an alternative form of language in our education system, which can be integrated. Because remember, if this child cannot communicate, because we have various forms of communication, but we are not bringing that on board in our learning spaces, that means we are locking out a very big number of special needs persons who can be able to study. And remember, the minute we are failing at the early intervention, then that means someone's life has been cut off from the beginning.
All right.
When we look the support aids for learning, not many schools actually have that, because you find that they learn differently. They learn through music. The more of them are more visual and tactile, and that 3D space is what enables the special children to learn better. And they do not have that.
All right.
Even just assessment, placement, and transition. We have early education, but then we look at secondary schools as much as they can progress. We do not have schools. We can actually count them. We can use our fingers to count how many we have in the country when it comes to higher education.
All right. All right, Sylvia, I think you really just greatly explained to us the importance of this inclusion, and due to the interest of time, I just want to bring in Brenda to tell us very briefly the importance of having a special need kind of child in a special need school. What is the importance of that, Brenda? Very, very quickly.
Yes, you know, like what you have really asked is very important, because most of the special needs children prefer to be in special schools, because special schools have been, the environment is prepared, the environment is conducive, the teachers are trained, because most of the special school teachers are from Kenya Institute of Special Education. But that one also means I am a product of a special school. And it makes the pupils or the students very comfortable when they are integrated or mainstreamed into the regular school. Then they feel they don't belong. So what I can say is that the teachers who are being trained, they also need to be distributed to other schools, the regular schools, so that they can receive the learners with special needs, as well as the way they are treated in special units.
All right.
That's what I can. Yeah.
All right, Brenda just saying that the trainers also need to be distributed to well cater for special needs children. And now, just finally, as I come to you, Peter Okeyo, what is inABLE organization doing differently to cater for children with special needs?
Okay, thank you for that. So inABLE, what we do differently is we ensure that technology that is provided is actually accessible to every individual with visual impairment, regardless of whether they are learners or whether they are teachers. And this is done, as Brenda said, the major hindrance to PI learners or teachers in this case is accessibility, which is key. When you provide a platform to learners with visual impairment that is not accessible, and then you expect them to access the content, that is not possible. And John Brown can tell you that at the university level, lecturers provided them with PDF documents, sometimes in soft copies, but they don't consider whether these documents can be accessible, can be accessed by learners who use screen readers. So when this is done, then definitely you're kind of trying to limit this person from accessing the content which you expect them to use in the final exam.
All right.
So the most important thing is to ensure that when it's technology, it has to be accessible. When it's software, it has to be accessible. So for us as inABLE, accessibility is key. And especially in talk of digital accessibility, that is where now the main challenge is. So if all our developers, content developers can focus on that, including our including the ICD, because I know now there's the CBC, which has some ICT component included in it. That should also be to make sure that it's actually fully accessible. So that is what we do as inABLE to ensure that that platform is fully accessible to every individual.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter. That has been Peter Okeyo, Program Manager at inABLE organization. I've also been joined by 3 other guests. I've also had Sylvia Mochabo, who is a parent and founder of Andy Speaks. I was also joined by Brenda Kiema, a disability inclusion officer and a lecturer at Tangaza University College. And finally, we were also joined by John Brown, who is a special needs education student at Kenyatta University and also an alumnus of Thika School for the Blind. Those have been my 4 guests, just helping us understand what we can do to better accommodate persons with disability and challenges that they face. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for making time this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, we definitely appreciate your time. Thank you so much again. We appreciate your time.